Welcome to the 2021 Forestry Day at the Legislature. Who doesn't love this one day out of the year that we come together to learn about Idaho forests and all their economic, social, and environmental benefits? I'm Julia Grant, a member of the Snake River chapter of the Society of American Foresters, SAF. SAF owes its founding to Gifford Pinchot, the first chief of the U.S. Forest Service. SAF has been a proud partner in Forestry Day at the Legislature for over 20 years. It is SAF's intent to use the knowledge, skills, and conservation ethic of the forestry profession to ensure the continued health and use of forest ecosystems and the present and future availability of forest resources to benefit society. We are here as a resource to all of you, so please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us as SAF members with a forestry-related question. And with that, I'm going to pass this on to my colleagues, the panelists, to begin the presentation. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Heather Strong, and I am the Western Senior Director for Woodworks, and I reside right here in Boise, Idaho. For those of you that are unfamiliar with our organization, we are a nonprofit organization that is tasked with helping the design and construction community build with wood in commercial and multifamily construction. And we do this through education and free project assistance. And we're able to do this through our funding partners. Our major funding partners are the Softwood Lumber Board, USDA Forest Service, and Forestry Innovation Investment. So today I'm here to discuss with you the mass timber revolution. So mass timber is a very old concept that has become new again with the advent of technology and modern design practices and code changes. For those of you who are unfamiliar with what mass timber is, I'll just go over it very quickly. So glue laminated timber, many of you are probably familiar with. You may have this in your own home, or it has been in the roof of residences or commercial facilities that you've been in. So it is essentially dimensional lumber laminated together in the form of beams and columns. Cross-laminated timber is the buzzword lately, and it is also 2x-dimensional lumber laid out in sheets and laminated together with glue, and each layer is perpendicular to the next layer, and this allows for strength and structural stability. Another form of cross-laminated timber can come by utilizing wood veneers. So mass plywood panels is an example of this, where you take essentially what looks like very large plywood and secondary laminating them together, also adding to the strength and structural stability. So when we talk mass timber, think very large pieces of wood. Down laminated timber is dimensional lumber laid on its side and held together with hardwood dowels. This is often done in the factory and comes out with as a finished product. Nail laminated timber is probably the very original mass timber and the very original dowel laminated timber. It is essentially dimensional lumber laid on its side and held together with mechanical fasteners such as nails. This can be done in the factory or on site. Glue laminated timber is a larger version of the glue lam beam and column laid on its side and can be utilized for floor and roof decks. We have seen mass timber utilized in many different building types. So in the upper left part of your screen is mass timber in an office environment, and you'll see that many design teams, architects, developers, and even building owners wish to leave the mass timber exposed, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. We've seen mass timber in hospitality, education, and industrial facilities as well. We have also seen it in multifamily. So in the upper left screen is Intro in Cleveland, and we'll be talking about that in a bit. In the lower left corner is Carbon 12, which is a high-end multifamily building in Portland, Oregon. Universities have also gravitated toward mass timber. In the upper right screen of your screen is Idaho Hall at the University of Arkansas. This is a residence hall. And the University of Arkansas also utilized mass timber for a library storage facility on their campus. What you're looking at here is a screenshot from the Woodworks Innovation Network. This is a map of all of the mass timber projects that we are aware of that have been built or are currently under construction in the United States. So this is where a shovel has actually met dirt. If we also were to add in the projects that are in design, the number would jump up to 979 mass timber projects, and that's as of September 2020. One thing you'll note about this map is that mass timber is being utilized across the entire United States. So understanding the why would I utilize mass timber? Well, one item of interest is our global population increase. So in 2015, there were 3.9 billion people. 4 years later, in 2019, there were 7.7 billion people. It is projected that by 2050, there will be 11.2 billion people globally. So the question could be asked, where will we house these people and where will they work? So mass timber can help out in that area. I will note that mass timber is a fantastic solution for urban infill projects. Urban infill projects are often too tall for conventional light frame and not necessarily economical for a concrete building. Wood in and of itself is nearly 50% carbon by mass or weight. That is carbon that would have otherwise been in our atmosphere, contributing to global warming. It has now been physically converted into wood and put into the built environment, storing carbon. Trees, yes, trees. Exposing wood can connect us with the trees from which they are sourced. After we've all been in quarantine and had a very interesting year, much of which might have been spent indoors, we are all thinking about biophilic design and how we can bring the outdoors inside. There are a tremendous amount of benefits to using wood in biophilic design. As you can see here, exposing the timber as both the structure and the finish is a feature that many developers, occupants, and design teams are attracted to. It provides a warmth of structure that does not otherwise exist with other building materials. Labor availability and labor shortages have plagued the construction industry for years. Mass timber projects regularly see significant reduction in the size of the crews needed to install these projects. That can help with some of the challenges projects face and make a project in timber definitely more feasible. Here's a screenshot of a schedule study that was done on a 12-story mass timber tower in Seattle. So it was determined that building this tower in mass timber would shave 5 months off the construction schedule as compared to the same building built in post-tension concrete. So we regularly hear that there is a 25% schedule savings that is realized across the board on mass timber projects. So facilitating growth, how can we ramp up the adoption and acceptance of mass timber? So it starts with education and changes to the building code. So the International Code Council issues a new building code every 3 years. So the current building code is the 2018 building code. Many jurisdictions and states have not yet adopted that version. For example, Idaho is largely using the 2015 International Building Code, but that is okay because mass timber was officially recognized in the 2015 International Building Code as a structural building material. However, come 2021, there are some exciting changes with regard to wood and mass timber specifically. So in 2021 International Building Code, they're going to be incorporating some tall wood provisions. And what this does, wood is currently only allowed to be utilized in a structure up to 6 stories in height. So in 2021, wood, specifically mass timber, will be allowed to go into buildings all the way up to 18 stories. So it is broken down into 4 different types. And with each step of the way, there are code provisions that will have to be adhered to. And a lot of that would have to do with how much of the wood can be left exposed. So with the following slides, I'd like to show you a few of the buildings just for inspiration that have utilized mass timber. So the first one is right here in Boise, Idaho. It's Bound Crossing Library. So CLT was used in the roof of this 1-story library building. And if you've been in it, it is a beautiful facility. And moreover, it's exciting because Boise was, and this building was, one of the first mass timber buildings in this area. Here's another library. This is located in Brentwood, California, and it is a 2-story library where they used CLT in the floor and the roof. And there's actually a second building on the campus, a 1-story auxiliary building where CLT was used in the roof as well. And one thing I'd like to point out is that this was the second project utilizing mass timber for this design team. And they only used CLT in the roof of their first project. And what we're hearing a lot is that design and construction teams tend to tip their toe in the water with regard to utilizing mass timber. But once they've done it, they're eager to incorporate it again and more of it in subsequent projects. They find the material both fun and versatile and easy to work with. This is Ice Block 1, an office building in downtown Sacramento. This was part of a downtown revitalization project. And this is a beautiful building that utilizes tongue and groove decking for the roof and floor and glulam beam post and beam frame. The developer for this project has spoken for us on a number of occasions and has talked about the leasing velocity he experienced by utilizing mass timber and exposing it in this building. This is the Canyons, a 70-unit apartment building in Portland, Oregon. It is 4 stories of wood over 2 stories of podium construction, and this project is currently under construction. This is a unique project because it has an emphasis on senior living. The goal is to be 100% ADA acceptable in a downtown urban living environment. This is also a very unique project. So one of the benefits of mass timber is it's relatively light in weight as compared to other building materials. So sometimes when you must expand, you must go up. So here is a building in Washington, D.C., of which they have added 3 stories of mass timber construction on top of an existing 7-story concrete building. So this is currently under construction. This is the intro project I spoke of earlier in Cleveland, Ohio. It has 297 apartments and some mixed use on the bottom floors. It is 8 stories of wood over 1 podium above ground. And this project is one of the first that have utilized the tall wood provisions with permitting. This project, you might all be familiar with, is the University of Idaho Arena right here in Moscow, Idaho. And I won't go into too much detail on this project. Dennis Becker is joining us and he'll go in great detail. So this project is a 66,000 square foot arena that will finish construction in the fall of this year, and it is currently well under construction. So with that, I want to thank you for your time, and I'll turn it over to Dennis to talk more about the University of Idaho Arena.
My name is Dennis Becker. I'm Dean of the College of Natural Resources at the University of Idaho. As the land-grant institution of the state, our mission is to educate, conduct research, and provide outreach to the citizens of Idaho. We take that responsibility very seriously, and a bold demonstration of that mission is the Idaho Central Credit Union being constructed on the Moscow campus. The ICCU Arena represents an application of mass timber in a uniquely Idaho way that builds partnerships and increases the ROI for Idaho through student training and public education. People said we couldn't build this type of facility. They said it would be too expensive and that we lacked the expertise and workforce in Idaho to accomplish this. Well, in the spring of 2019, ICCU President Ken Oram and U.S. Forest Service Chief Vicki Christensen joined me in breaking ground for a truly inspirational project that invested in Idaho companies, Idaho workers using sustainable Idaho wood. The U.S. Forest Service provided seed funding for initial design and building code review, and the Idaho Central Credit Union bought the naming rights. Today, we're just a few short months away from completing construction on the ICCU arena. Utilities and groundwork took about a year to complete, and this past spring, we set the first wood beam. From there, roof structure, walls, basketball courts, locker rooms were quickly constructed. And as we sit here today, the outside wrapping of dark cedar siding is being installed. Most of the building structure was completed in just one season, speaking to one of the benefits of mass timber. We are on schedule to complete construction this summer at a cost-competitive rate with traditional construction. The ICCU arena was made possible through generous contributions of donors, student activity fees, and our strong relationship with the forest products industry in Idaho, which I would like to highlight. Douglas fir and larch were sustainably harvested from the University of Idaho experimental forests and surrounding public and private lands. The College of Natural Resource students planned and laid out timber sales on our forest. We worked with our student logging crew, and Mark Swanson Logging in Orofino, who transported the logs to Idaho Forest Group in Lewiston and Bennett Lumber in Princeton. From there, it was processed in the Lamstock, and it was shipped to Boise Cascade in Homedale and QB Laminators in Salmon. Employers in these two Idaho companies processed the Lamstock into glulam beams, which were machined by Structurecraft in British Columbia and assembled on site by Structurecraft and Hoffman Construction employees, many of which are Idaho companies. The wood paneling for the roof was donated by PotlatchDeltic and St. Mary's, and the cedar siding being installed today was donated by the Idaho Forest Group and Tri-Pro Cedar Products in Old Town, Idaho. KPFF consulting engineers in Boise were the principal engineers, and University of Idaho alum Chris Roberts with Opsis Architecture was the lead designer. So as you can see, the ICCU arena is truly an Idaho product made by Idahoans with sustainably harvested wood from Idaho forest by the University of Idaho. Why is this important? Well, for every 1 million board feet of timber harvested in Idaho, 24 direct and indirect jobs are created. Those are jobs in your communities. The more we can do to promote mass timber construction, the more it helps Idaho's economy. To put that in perspective, I need to give you a quick overview of mass timber markets. First, demand for mass timber in the U.S. will be dominated by California and large West Coast cities. Some construction will happen in Idaho, just like our ICCU arena, but our opportunity is on the manufacturing side. Quality wood is needed to manufacture CLT and glulam beams, which will largely be derived from Pacific Northwest and Canadian forests because of the quality of our forest. Our main competition is Canadian softwood lumber from the interior of British Columbia. Tariffs do currently exist on softwood lumber entering the U.S., but not on finished products like CLT, which could push manufacturing expansion in British Columbia as opposed to Idaho. That said, existing production in the U.S. and Canada is insufficient to meet projected demand over the next decade. And so there is an opportunity for Idaho companies to capture market share because we have high quality lumber and because of our expansive forest managed in a sustainable manner. Preference for using mass timber in commercial construction in Idaho is one important component for expanding mass timber markets, but so too is policy to ensure Idaho companies and forest landowners remain competitive. To that end, the College of Natural Resources is working with the Sustainable Forestry Initiative and our industry partners to tell our story and to promote the benefits of mass timber. So let's think about that story and how it could play out in your communities in the different parts of the state. Imagine yourself walking through the doors of the ICCU arena to the sound of the University of Idaho marching band. Those of you who are vandals are already singing the fight song in your head, I'm sure. You running your hands along the charcoal-stained cedar siding at the main entrance, you can smell the wood. You're watching a Vandals basketball game, or maybe you're listening to the cool sounds of a saxophone during the famous Lionel Hampton Jazz Festival. Now imagine yourself taking a picture of your daughter or your grandson at graduation under the 20-foot eye logo on the front of the building. She's smiling back at you and thinking how proud she is to have graduated from the University of Idaho. This is a place for sports and events, but it's also a place for learning. It's a place to learn about engineering and architectural design, to learn about the chemical properties and adhesives used in wood bonding. It's a place to learn about sustainable forest management, and it's a place to train the leaders of tomorrow. So I hope you will join me this fall when we open the arena to watch a basketball game, experience the excitement of graduation day, or listen to the cool sounds of jazz. Thank you.
I'm John Reiling, Chair for the Intermountain Section of the Society of American Foresters. As a mid-career forester in Idaho, I see a lot of challenges in our future for managing Idaho's forests and growing population. But I also see a lot of opportunities. The industry is strong with over a century of proven trusts, providing sustainable products and economic contributions, including stable jobs and livable wages for Idahoans. Projects like the U of I Arena demonstrate a beautiful collaboration and the multifaceted benefit of Idahoans working together, utilizing Idaho's natural resources. There's growing opportunity for wood products to provide positive solutions to a growing population and subsequent structure needs, while benefiting ecosystem services and the climate. Passing legislation that helps to expand mass timber markets in Idaho and capturing market share is a key part of the solution. Embracing the use of sustainably harvested timber is healthy for Idaho, Idahoans, and our planet. Thank you for your time, and thanks to our speakers and everyone who helped put together Forestry Day at the Legislature under these unprecedented circumstances. Our sponsors help make this event an ongoing success.